20% loss of purchasing power spurs guys like John Locke, you mentioned, right?
Coinage rebellion,
40+% loss of purchasing power over the past 4 years has spurred nothing. I mean, there's some people waking up, but we haven't flipped the tables yet, so to speak. And then you have this gentleman, I forgot his name, but he was giving a commencement speech at one of the universities, and he brought up this issue.
It was Oklahoma OSU or something.
And he brought up, the issue of debasement, central banking, loss of purchasing power, and then introduced Bitcoin as a potential solution to that, and was booed by college students, basically, I presume.
We call that Stockholm syndrome.
So that's what I was going to say, is like, what is the problem? Like, if men in the age of John Locke were able to have 20% of their purchasing power siphoned away, and that would trigger this movement to rectify it.
Right.
How is it we're having more of our purchasing power siphoned away, yet no one's, but we have people booing people talking about Bitcoin as a solution? Is this, have we debased our education? People don't understand money? Like, what's going on here?
Unlike, the 4th century when Rome fell, unlike the early 17th, the coinage crisis here, you really largely had a healthier, braver, more courageous, more passionate constituency. It's not a nice thing to have to say, but I think you do equal blame, right? 50% my fault, 50% the overlord's fault. People now have been propagandized, malnutritioned, and poisoned, both spiritually, ethically, and physically, to where they would cheer that. Insofar as bullying. But dude, the Nazis, right? Like, they had these big, beautiful marches in downtown, and they all thought they were doing the great work. So it's always through this maniacal debasement, debt and death spiral that leads to these psychotic episodes largely. And they either end in genocide and war, or both, or some concoction of all of the above. Either way, it's a giant asset transfer to the central banking protected class. Yeah. At least since Napoleon, right? Because that's what's occurred. And you look at how all people have to do to cite like where this began was when the Bank of England was confiscated. Yeah. After the Battle of Waterloo.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Essentially, this is well-documented history. A runner was sent to report back the wrong result of Waterloo and the guilts which were British.
This was
bonds.
a war between the French and the English, right?
Correct. Yeah. Battle of Waterloo. Yeah. And largely it was orchestrated to execute the last remaining patriots of France, which was why he was brought back in. And I can't speak to whether Napoleon was conscious of that or not, but either way, he was exiled right after again. So it was reported back essentially that England had lost.
Right. To England. It was reported that England had lost, right? Yeah.
Everything crashed. Nathaniel Rothschild bought everything. And then there you go. He took over the Bank of England.
And then the debt of England collapsed because the news had come in that they had lost the war. And then Rothschild's family, maybe some others, I'm not sure.
It wasn't just one. It was a big collusion.
Bought up all of this collapsed
and then people actually were cited seeing that, and it turned the market the other way. They're like, oh, they're buying this. That means
right.
And they didn't actually know that was a falsely reported result. So the whole origin of modern central banking that started on that event is directly based on a false reporting of the Battle of Waterloo.
And then it was 24 hours later that the actual news came through. England had won, so then their debt skyrocketed, and by then, they're holding all the cards.